Welcome to Lazer Radio. This episode is brought to you by the Lazer LifeBeam Helmet Integrated Heart Rate Monitor. With a rechargeable 15-hour runtime, connection via ANT Plus or Bluetooth technology, and helmet-mounted optical sensor, the Lazer LifeBeam is more accurate than traditional heart rate sensors without the bother of an uncomfortable chest strap. Check out the Lazer LifeBeam system at your local Lazer dealer. On today's episode, we are joined by a cyclocross standout and, well, I guess road racing standout as well, Katie Clouse, calling, I guess, are you in Colorado now, Katie?
Yeah, I'm in Colorado at the moment just for Boulder UCI this weekend, but I head back on Monday to Virginia where I'm actually at school at the Miller School of Albemarle.
Talk about your schooling now. Are you racing collegiately or are you just going to school there?
No, so I'm actually still in my junior year of high school. So I was in Colorado last year, but I decided this school gives me the opportunity to race or to ride every day and have a study session, and it works a lot better with traveling. And they have a super good biking program that I'm working with Andrea Dvorak, and she's my coach currently. Oh. And so I'm out there in Virginia, which was a huge change from Colorado and Park City. But
yeah, I was going to say you've been around a lot for a relatively young athlete. Grew up in Park City, and then you were living in Colorado for a while. Talk about that decision. You were basically pursuing cross racing. Yeah,
I was living there last year with my team director, Adam, and I decided to move there for racing, mainly to get to races better and to and just to be able to travel less, and so I could do local races for my team more. It was super good. I loved living here. I love Colorado. The local racing was amazing. But since I'm UCI this year and able to race C1s and C2s, traveling was going to get, I was going to be traveling a ton. And with public school, I really wanted to do more with my grades and more with school. So I got Evan, my brother, went to Miller last year. So he just had, I wanted to go as well, and he said it was really great, and that's kind of how I got into going to Miller. Yeah.
You talked about your brother Evan, who was also a bike racer. I want to go back and talk about how you got involved in the sport. You started as a ski racer in Park City, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then when did the bike come into the equation?
I was probably 8 years old when we started doing, my dad started getting me and my brother into these little local mountain bike races, right, the trails behind my house. And it kind of just grew from that, going to our Utah State Championship mountain bike races, and then Evan wanting to do road, which kind of got us into our local crit series on the weekend or on the weekdays. And I was kind of standing on the sidelines because I wasn't old enough to race yet, so I was always watching Evan and my dad race and waiting for me to race. So that's how I got into road. But then Evan got us into everything, cyclocross and road. He found out about cyclocross and wanted to try cyclocross, so we immediately started that, and we both fell in love with cyclocross.
When did you have that realization that, hey, I might be really good at this? Your first national championship was 2013, is that right?
Oh boy. I think my first national championship ever was my U10 mountain bike. So I think that was maybe 2012. But yeah, then my first I was battling off and on when I raced U10 mountain bike nationals. I was battling off and on with a girl who I raced a ton because she lived in Park City with me, and she would always beat me. And so I just kind of came to nationals knowing hey, I'm gonna get second. And then I had a race where I won, and I was so excited, and I was wow, this is actually really fun, because I'm like such a competitive person. I was like, maybe like I'll keep doing this.
It's a lot more fun when you're winning, that's for sure.
Especially when you're 10 years old.
Yeah, exactly. You talked earlier about waiting, and that seems to have been a theme throughout a lot of your career. Most recently, waiting to be able to race UCI events. This was your first year in 2017, being old enough to race in the UCI events. How's it been?
Oh, it's been so crazy. Like last year, like I was racing Cat 3s, and I felt like I wasn't getting like the competition like I could get better. And finally, like this year, I get to race like the big names, like, and have competition and race and like work my butt off trying to stay up with those girls. And it's been crazy, but I love it. I love the competition, and it's only gonna make me stronger. So I'm really excited about this year, and we're still pretty early season, so I'm excited for what I can do.
Has it been weird going from like the favorite in most of the races that you did as a junior to struggling to find the front row in UCI races? I mean,
yeah,
it's a big change.
Yeah, it was super crazy, because my first UCI race this season was Rochester.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't have any UCI points, so I got a number, and I didn't know like how, like I got 24, so I thought I was like gonna be like, okay, like third-ish row, and there was like 5 or 6 rows. It was a pretty big field, but they were doing random call, so I ended up getting last row, and I was like, it's gonna be interesting trying to get through all these ladies.
It's probably been a while since you started a cross race on the back row.
Yeah, it has. So it was definitely like, I went around the first corner, and it was already so stretched out, and it seemed like first place was already like 10 seconds ahead of me, like just at the start. And I was like, I have to work my way up there. Like, it's definitely like, I'm trying to get as many UCI points as I can, because I want that front row. Like, I want like that first or second row start so badly.
It's important. I mean, if you're not in those first few rows, it's pretty tough to find the front of a UCI cross race. I mean, like you said, it gets sorted out pretty quickly within the first few minutes of the start.
Yeah, and then, of course, the next day, like, I had a really good race, I thought, for my first UCI race, first day at Rochester. And then the next day, I get third row call-up, and I'm, like, 10th place around, like, the second corner. And then I crashed, like, right after the second corner. I was like, dang, maybe I should have gotten that 5th row call-up.
It's maybe a little early in the season with only a few weeks of racing under your belt so far since Rochester. But, I mean, is this season everything you thought it was going to be so far?
So far, like, I've the races that I've done, I've felt really strong in. And the first days have been, like, the C1s, which I'm super excited about, have been really, really good. The second day, I have had some bad luck with just not feeling right or crashing. But I'm super excited about my results so far. And I'm really excited to see what else I can do with the training I'm doing and not being on peak form right now. So I'm excited to hopefully be at that at Pan Ams and Nationals, and hopefully get a world spot and see what I can do at Worlds.
What category will you race at Nationals this year?
So it'll be U22, so it'll be 17 to 22.
Right. But
also do a 17 to 18 podium.
Yep.
So I'm a first year 17-18.
Okay. So they raced together but scored separate.
Yeah.
In 17-22.
So we'll take, most likely, this is how they did it last year. They took the 17-18 national champion, but they take just like the top like 4 or 5 or like whoever like qualified for Worlds out of the U23. They won't take like separate 17-18. So they'll take mainly the top 4 or 5 of the U23.
Yeah. All right. Gotcha. As a young rider, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. Pressure that most 17, 18-year-old kids don't don't experience until, maybe they get into the professional world or, a higher level of competition. But it seems like that's sort of been par for the course for you. Was there a lot of pressure on you growing up? Like, was it a competitive family with you and Evan?
Yeah, so me and Evan, I've always been such a competitive person, but me and Evan, we would always ride together, and we would be so competitive towards each other. He would, I would, do an interval or something, and then he would sit on my wheel and then sprint past me, catch up to him, and, we've always kind of been like that, where we're, half-wheeling each other up a climb, or, especially with my dad, I'm always, trying to drop him. When I was a little kid, now he's kind of falling off the back with me and my brother. Because he's drove us across the country trying to get us to races, and I'm so thankful for that. He's sacrificed his whole life for us, especially for me and my brother, driving us to Colorado, to nationals, to all that. But yeah, I grew up in such a competitive family. My mom and dad are definitely competitive people, and I definitely got those genes. Just because, it's, living with, especially with my brother, we both want to be better. We try to make each other better, so it's good.
I think every sibling has an inherent rivalry between the two siblings, but then when you add a competitive sport to it, it takes it to another level.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle of cross season now, but you also race on the road. Last year with the Visit Dallas DNA Pro Cycling team. Are you going to go back to the road this year?
Yes, and mountain bike.
And mountain bike.
Yeah. So since it's my first year UCI, and able to race world championships, it's kind of my crazy dream, but I'm really hoping I can do both and make it to worlds on the mountain and road. It's
wow.
So I'm hoping I can balance schoolwork, road, and mountain, and try to make it to all those races. So we'll see what the season brings.
Big ambitions, but if anyone can do it, you can. Do you have a favorite discipline? I mean, if you had to pick one, if it really came down to it, is there a clear favorite in your mind?
It's hard. I feel because cyclocross is just so it brings so much energy, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Especially but for mountain, it's more about riding. I love racing, but for me, riding is my favorite part of mountain biking. Just going to explore these trails, and especially over in Europe, those trails, and exploring everywhere. That's my favorite. Racing, I definitely think road is my favorite, just because there's so many tactics, and it's fun. I think road is definitely one of my favorites. I don't think I could ever pick between them.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're not going to have to. If you make the world squad for mountain and road, you'll be you'll have at least two of the three.
Yeah.
One thing I've always noticed about you in the post-race interviews, in cross at least, you always talk about how much fun the race was. We're always trying to talk tactics, and we're trying to talk shop about bike racing, but you always revert to oh man, this line was so fun, or this part of the race was so fun when I was going head to head. Where a lot of racers are all, they're all business. It's all about the competition after the race, but you don't seem to have lost that. Just get out, rip, shred, have fun, ride your bike. Even, racing, let's say, nationals last year.
Yeah. I just, I have such good relationships with, all of my competitors almost. It's, almost if they won or they beat me, I want that to happen for everyone. I want to have fun. The races that are put on, that's why I'm there, to have fun. I'm there to be competitive too, but it's just the thrill of racing, and all those people watching you and cheering, and and if you're with someone, it even makes it exciting, because you're racing against them, and you're trying to it's so like exhilarating because like you're trying to find lines that are better, and if you crash, like everyone's like whoa, and like someone goes past you, and like it's just like like especially like that when I'm watching, I'm like yelling at the screen like if Wow or Vanderpool are like racing against each other and like one gets ahead, I'm like go go go. Yeah.
There's nothing better than a good cross battle. I mean, when you get when you find that battle in a race, it's one of the most beautiful things in sport, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So we talked about your goals for this year or next year, trying to make the World's team. What about like 5 years, 10 years out? I mean, do you see yourself as a professional bike racer for the next 10 years?
Yeah, I'm really focused on college right now, obviously, but I do see myself like as a professional racer, and I'm hoping like I can make something of it, and like I really want to work like with what Helen Wyman's doing. I really want to work with women's cycling and like try to grow the sport and just like that stuff. Like I don't want like as like the new like article came out like of like minimum wage like for men. I like want like that like
you want to be part of that conversation.
Yeah, like I want to do more for women's sports and women's cycling and grow the sport and hopefully like get more people into it and get more sponsors and like have like women's cycling be more than just like a regular sport that no one talks about.
Yeah, very cool. It sounds like college has been part of your plan for a long time. Is that safe to say? I mean, you were from the start, you knew you wanted to go to school?
Yeah. I don't know like whether I want to race collegiately yet, just because I really want to focus on, because I'm really interested in medicine and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I really want to focus on that. But I'm still a junior, so I'm still trying to figure out like
you got plenty of time.
Specifically what I want to do and like how I'm gonna, especially with racing, how I'm gonna manage that. So yeah.
It's a tough line to walk, trying to go to school and still maintain a racing career.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have proved it can be done. There have definitely been the success stories of, athletes that went to school and then were still able to go pro afterwards. So, it's definitely been proven that that's a viable path to still go to school, which maybe wasn't the case 5-10 years ago. I think a lot of people didn't think that it was really possible to go to school, but it sounds like you're pretty committed to this.
Yeah. I want to have that. I just want to be in that like where I can like am able to do school because I honestly love school. Like I love learning and like especially what I want to do with medicine and stuff and like what I'm thinking about. Like that's all I can think about and like what I want to learn and stuff.
Yeah, very cool. Who are your heroes right now? You talked about Helen Wyman, like your racing heroes on the bike. Who do you really watch and look up to, I guess?
Let's see. When Pauline was like, I still look up to Pauline and like she's like amazing how she's like focused. Now she's focused on the mountain bike and she went from being like not having some good races and then straight to like third at Worlds or like all that. And like I definitely look up to her because when she was very young, she was winning like Worlds, like she was winning cross Worlds, mountain bike Worlds, and road Worlds. Like,
yeah,
like that's what I like strive to do. And like it's amazing how like she could juggle that and like still like she's still on it right now. Like she still wants to be that person. So
one of my personal heroes for sure. First ever to hold the road title, the cross title, and the mountain bike title. Absolutely amazing. I mean, that's next level stuff. But it sounds like sort of something you're targeting here as well.
Yeah. So I know it's like I get like since you started like when that happened such at a young age, and it's hard to like keep that going throughout your years. But I know like she's still like, especially like if she wants to focus on one thing, like and like that's what she's focused on, like that's pretty like that's great of her. And like if she like she's trying to like for mountain bike worlds, and her coming back, and it's pretty amazing like what she wants to do still.
Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is sort of a unique athlete in that, she's balancing all these different disciplines. I don't know how she does it, but I can ask you, how do you transition from like cross season to road season, or mountain bike season to cross season or whatever? Like how do you switch gears and say, all right, I'm going to focus exclusively on the mountain bike now, or now it's cross season, or now it's road season?
I really haven't like gotten to that point where I'm like super specific about it. I kind of just like go along with it. So like for cross, like when cross starts, I like have in my mind like a specific like training like that I want to do for cross to get me ready. Like short like intervals and like endurance and stuff. But then when I usually, so this is going to be different like this season, especially if I make the world's team, usually right after nationals in January, I take at least like 3 weeks off the bike, just like to get like me mentally and physically prepared for road and mountain. But since cross worlds are 2-3 weeks later than nationals, I have to stay trained. I have to keep training and get ready for worlds, which is definitely going to be a challenge just because like I'm used to like taking that off and I have to keep training. So I have to like, my coaches are working with me and like we're like making sure like everything's like to perfection for worlds.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely like, I know how much of a break I need because like, like 2 years ago or last summer when I went to Belgium just to go race and stuff, I raced there for a month and a half, and usually like that's my break. And by the end I was so tired because like being in Belgium and racing like twice a week, like it was such an amazing experience, but like I knew like my body, like I knew that I was tired and I needed a break. And, like, my body, I usually know, like, the type of break I need and then, like, when I can start get going. And then, so for road, I'll start with base miles, just, like, long endurance miles in the beginning. I'm seeing, like, what my first race is going to be. Yeah. So it's, like, depends on how long of a break I take and what I want, like, this year to be, or, like, the season to be. I'm really hoping that I can go over to Europe and do some racing before like worlds and stuff if I get to go to road worlds. And I'm trying to balance in still mountain bike races to get out there and actually like I'm trying to focus in like where I can ride my mountain bike and ride my road bike, but like completely like focus on each individual discipline.
What do you do on your break? Like, what does a 17-year-old cyclocross or bike racing standout do when you can't ride your bike for 3 weeks, or you decide not to ride your bike for 3 weeks? Like, do you get a chance to just be a regular kid, or what do you do?
Yeah, so like when I'm home, like which I'm hoping to be home with my mom, we usually like we go to yoga in the morning. I like running, so honestly, I'll go run. Like, I have to, like, for me, I have to do something during the day. Like, I can't just not do anything. But, yeah, we'll go, like, do yoga, and then, like, I'll hang out with my friends back in Park City, or hang out with my mom. Like, I have to be outside. Like, I can't just stay inside and do nothing. Like, that's not fun for me. So, if I'm not riding my bike, like, especially during the summer, if I'm not riding my bike, I'll go play like volleyball or something, which me and my friends like always do. Or like I don't get to see my mom or dad a lot, just because I'm traveling so much and going to different places and going to different schools almost every year. So I try to spend as much time as I can with my mom and my dad. So
you've given up a lot to be to be a bike racer, whether it's the time with your family or just being able to, do what you want when you want. Do you ever think like, man, it might be nice to just spend a little bit of time at home and just be a normal kid?
Yeah, for sure. Like, that happens like actually quite a bit. Just like with my breaks, like I get like over the summer, like I was traveling throughout almost the whole summer, and the last like 2 weeks I wasn't traveling, and I spent that whole because then I left for Virginia, which was for my school 2 weeks later. So I spent that whole 2 weeks because that was my break. So I spent that whole 2 weeks just with my friends and with my parents and going out and like doing fun stuff that like a kid would do, you know. But yeah, I have time like to do that stuff, and like when I do, it's like really special, and I cherish it.
But then when that competitive bug bites again, there's no turning back.
And then I go straight back to traveling, and like I don't really think about it. Like I think like I'm still talking with my friends, and but like I don't like think about like, oh, I should be there with my friends. But no, like I'm with my teammates, and like that's even more fun, like being with my teammates and like hanging out with them, bonding.
It's an interesting way to grow up, isn't it? I mean, you've certainly had a unique story. I remember coming to the Visit Dallas DNA team launch last year in Dallas, and I think you were just learning to drive, which is, you know, it's kind of an interesting thing. You know, like we, I guess, quote unquote, normal kids learn to drive in a parking lot somewhere of their parents' car, but like, you know, you're driving team cars. It's an interesting way to learn to drive. Yeah,
my team director always said if I won a race, he would let me drive the team car back. Yeah, it's definitely, it's quite, like, interesting. Like, I've mainly grown up with, like, older, like, I've always been the youngest person, like, with people. So, like, my Visit Dallas team, like, they're basically my family, and, like, I've grown to, like, love them, and, like, they've, like, brought me to the people, like, who I am today, and, like, I'm so grateful for them because, like, I've learned so much that I couldn't learn as just, like, hanging out with, like, kids my age. Like, especially with like my team director Alex and Kathy, they've took me in, and like they've taught me so many new things, and made like so I'm like their daughter basically.
The other thing about that team that I always really admire, there are a lot of really talented and really smart women on that team. You know, outside of bike racing, some really just impressive human beings. It must be amazing to be surrounded by that much talent.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome because I learned so much, and I get to be around like my role models basically.
Very cool. So let's go back and bring it back to current day in this season with cross racing. Boulder Cup this weekend, right?
Yes.
Are you
super excited about, because this is one of my favorite courses, and it's my first time. Like last year, I remember only getting to watch the UCI races and having to race Cat 3, and I'm super excited that I can finally race the UCI race. So,
do you have a little feeling of like a need to prove yourself now that you can race the UCI races?
A little bit. So, I was definitely like my first like Rochester. I got 11th, and I was super like excited, and I was like, yeah, like 11th, that's really good. But I also like in the back of my head, I was like, I need to do better. Like
could have been 10th.
11th, yeah. I always have that feeling like, oh, I could have caught one more person. What, like, yeah. But I'm definitely like tomorrow. I feel like I need to do well. But like, any place is like, good for me. But like, always there's that in the back of my head, my competitiveness, like I need to do better. I need to do good.
That's the mark of a true champion. How much pressure do you, or how much focus do you put on your weekly results compared to your sort of bigger goals of, you know, nationals, worlds, Pan Ams, that kind of stuff?
Well, I actually like when it's in the moment, like I put on a ton of like pressure, like not pressure, but like training. Like I make it as a huge deal basically. But like the races I really want to do well at. Like Boulder, like I really want to do well at. So I put in a ton of training. Like I do everything so specific to where like I want to do so well. So it's kind of the same. Like I definitely do a lot more specific things for nationals and Pan Ams. I will. But I feel to me every race is equally important to me. And I want to do well at every single race. And if I don't, like, I feel like if I don't do everything so specific, like I'm going to do at Worlds or Nationals or Pan Ams, that I won't improve throughout the season. So I try to stay consistent with my training, with my eating, just so like I have a consistent year and I like improve throughout the season.
Everyone has a different method, at the beginning of the season when they sit down with their coach. What was your sort of like success baseline for 2017? Like when you sat down at the beginning of the year this year, what did you say was going to be the difference between a successful season and an unsuccessful season? Like what are your big goals for this year?
My big goals, definitely Pan Ams. I really want to go there. At least for me, I want to get a top 3 at Pan Ams. Right now I'm ranked 3rd best U23, and I want that's why I want at least a top 3, especially for nationals. That's what I'm really going for, is a top 3. And my big goal obviously is Worlds, and also a trip to Europe. I want to go to Europe, and I want to see how well I like can do. Like I want to know if I'm that kind of person where I can race in Europe, because there's some people who can like race super well in the U.S. cross races, and there's some people that just like get to Europe and like they don't really have like they're not mentally like strong enough to race over in Europe, because like it's so different, like the racing and like how like people race and like what the courses are like. The courses are so different, and like since like when I went over to Europe for just some road kermesses, the girls, like it's crazy to see how different girls over in Europe, my age, are compared to girls over in the U.S. Like girls in Belgium, or just Belgium, there's 80, 90 girls that line up, and all are looking at you. All they're looking at us Americans, and they're like, "We're gonna beat you. Don't get in the way." And like, and it's a little intimidating. So that's kind of why I want to go over and see like how I like stand against like all the big like Europeans, and see how I can improve over there.
I cannot wait to see you on a European cross start line, staring down the Europeans with no fear. Hey, I want to talk about your cross team, the Alpha Bicycle Company. Is it still Groove Subaru? Is that the official name of the team?
Yeah.
How'd you end up with them? I mean, tell me about how that deal sort of came into place.
So this is my 3rd year on the team. Basically, it's all because of my dad. Everything's basically all because of my dad. He has gotten me on all of my teams, helped me with everything. So it's when I was like 13, 12 or 13, there's no, in Utah, the cross races are not USAC, so I had no points. So I needed to go get points, and so we decided to drive over to Colorado, because that was kind of the closest like races that had USAC points, or the closest state that had USAC points. Which, by the way, it is an 8-hour drive, and we're doing that almost every single weekend.
Yeah, which I'll bet you know pretty well by now.
Yeah.
By the way, we should give your dad some credit. Ed Clouse is like one of the most dedicated cycling parents in the world. I mean, yes. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Like everything I should give to my dad.
So you guys were driving back and forth every week? Like you would drive from Park City to Boulder or Denver or whatever?
Friday we would leave. Sunday night we would come back.
Unbelievable.
Almost every, It started off not almost every weekend. We just went over there to get a feel for it. Adam, the Alpha team, was so kind to like let us stay in their tent and when it was cold and warm up there and leave our stuff there. And then Crystal Bonnie and Nick Bonnie and the Bonnies were kind enough as we started to grow and meet people there. We stayed with them almost every single weekend when we came over. But yeah, so basically us coming over and me racing, and I was getting a lot because I was getting a ton more competition racing, like because I was like only like 12, so I was racing Cat 3s and I was getting beat, and I would race like open and I would get crushed. But as I started to like improve through the season, I started like winning a couple Cat 3 races and moving my way up in the open races. And Adam kind of saw that in me and Evan both, that we were competitive and we wanted to be cross racers, and we had the drive to come over every weekend and race and prove ourselves. So 3 years ago, me and my brother joined the Alpha team. My Adam let us join the Alpha team on the elite team, which we got full support. We got our Moots bikes, all of our gear. So yeah, that was the year after I won my first 2 years after I won my first national championship on the cross bike. So yeah, and we started racing with them and traveling with them. Evan was in his UCI year, so I was 14 and joined, and I was racing age 15, 16 my first year, and Evan was UCI, so Evan was traveling over to all the big races with the team and with Brandon Fix and Gage Hecht and Ashley Zerner. So they were all traveling together, and I was kind of just still going over to Colorado. But then the next year, since I was like driving over to Colorado, as I got older, it was kind of hard. It was getting me tired, and it was a little rough on me and my dad. So we kind of decided that moving to Colorado would be the best option. And Adam was kind enough to let me live in his house and stay with them for a year almost. And it was a good year. It was so much less stress, like not having to travel every single weekend and drive 8 hours and worry about missing school like Fridays and Mondays because I was just too tired to get up Monday.
The curse of being a traveling bike racer, right?
Yeah.
It seems like there's a really big focus on that team, and I think a lot of this probably comes from Adam's passion, but for junior riders, for young riders, and giving them that opportunity with a ton of success stories like you talked about, Gage and Ashley and people like that. But the focus seems to be on developing young talent that has real potential. Is that a fair assessment of the team?
Yeah, that's our main focus. We want to develop us, and we want to make so like we don't want to just make so we're better racers, but we're better people. Me and Gage and Brandon and now Turner, our new teammate Turner Ramsey. We all make so that we're like better people almost. So we help each other every day and we grow each other, and like it's actually so nice having like Brandon Fix, our oldest. He has 2 years left in U23 and he is in college, and Gage is in college, and it's nice like having them like they've been racing UCI the like past like 4 years, and it's nice having like if I have a bad day, they're like, don't worry, it's just one race, or if I have a good day, like they're like, wow, like that was really like having that like perspective on racing and like life and stuff. So yeah,
I think that's incredibly important for young riders to remember that life's not all about bike racing, and there's more to life than just
and they like know how to juggle school racing. They're at their peak they're in college and they're trying to figure out what they want in life, but they're also like trying to figure out what is going to happen with cycling.
Yeah, life's weird like that. You never know what you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
Can you see yourself as a mentor one day? I mean, would you stay on the team long enough to sort of bring in that next crop of young riders after you have your collegiate experience?
I would hope. Yeah, I would hope so, because this year we started just expanding. So like now that we brought in Turner, like I'm hoping like the next few years, like our program will keep expanding where we can bring in these younger riders that have such good potential, and like not even just like, but they're like good people, and like we want that on our team, and we want a positive vibe on our team, and like bringing up those younger riders to where Adam brought me up, where I was only 14 racing on this team, and it was like having like those older kids like help me out and like travel with them is like where I learned to be, especially with my other teams, because I'm like the youngest by far like on my team, so it's like having older people like mentor you. It's like it's a great like opportunity to grow as a person and in the sport.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Well, Katie, we got to wrap it up there, but I got to say, you are an amazing human being. You are awesome, and just incredibly impressive what you've been able to do over the last, I guess, 10 years of racing bikes. Wait, you're 17 now?
I'm 16. I turned
16. Oh, when is your birthday?
August.
Yeah, all right. I got to make sure I send you a birthday card. Well, good luck this weekend. I know. I hope you don't put too much pressure on yourself, and I know you'll still enjoy racing. That seems to be a strong suit of yours.
Thank you so much, Brad.
So, thanks for taking the time, and I'll be cheering you on in Boulder this weekend.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Lazer Radio. Be sure to check out more great shows on the Wide Angle Podium Network. Until next time, I'm Brad Sohner, saying thanks for listening.